Ines Geipel was one of the bright young stars of the East German sprinting scene. Born in Dresden in 1960 as Ines Schmidt, she moved to Jena at the age of 17 to train with East Germany's elite. At a race meeting on the 2nd of June 1984, Ines led off the SC Motor Jena sprint relay team to a time of 42.2 seconds. It remains the best time ever for an athletics club.
Well, it's always great to set a new record. Back then, it was the club relay world record, and it was also the best time in the world that year, which made it a moment to savour. We were a very well-drilled team. We trained together every day, and that's what made our relay exceptionally good. We spent so many hours practicing those exchanges. It was a memorable day, a record and a victory in our sport.
Ines was a key part of the East German Olympic team and attended a high-altitude training camp in Mexico to prepare for the 1984 Los Angeles Games. At the camp, she met Mexican race walker Ernesto Canto and fell in love. The pair spent time sightseeing and soaking up the culture of Mexico, which was a real eye-opener for the then 23-year-old.
I saw that outside of East Germany, there was a totally different world. And that was the experience I enjoyed as an athlete. I got to see the world. Then I realised I didn't want to return to East Germany, although of course we all had to go back. It was clear from that moment on that I was dealing with this huge internal conflict between my homeland and the outside world. I wanted to be part of the world and not living in a cage, that's for sure.
Growing tired of the East German regime, Ines plotted to escape with Ernesto at the Games in Los Angeles that summer. However, due to the Soviet-led boycott of the '84 Olympics, she never made it to America. The East German Ministry for State Security, the notorious Stasi, caught wind of her plans and began to monitor her closely. They even found a local man who resembled Ernesto and suggested that she begin a relationship with him instead. Then, one day at training, she complained of a stomachache and was taken to a physician who immediately recommended an appendix operation.
It wasn't until many years later, when I read my Stasi file, that I saw the section where it read, "Now we have the chance to put her on ice." It has since been confirmed, by looking through historical files, that there were these so-called flying surgical teams of the Stasi who performed such operations. They basically destroyed my body. It was a downright criminal procedure.
Geipel's Stasi file suggested that she must be strategically extinguished. The phantom appendix operation was an excuse to cut through her stomach muscles, effectively ending her sprinting career. The operation left Geipel unable to have children, and years of stomach issues followed. Ines continued training, but following months of altercations with the Federation, she was forced to leave the East German Olympic program.
I was basically given 10 minutes to pack up and leave. Even though I'd been part of the Olympic squad. I barely had time to collect my things from my locker, and then I had to disappear. That was it. There wasn't any training anymore. There was absolutely nothing. I was out. I was the enemy. And to some extent, that's how it has remained.
The Stasi continued to intervene in Geipel's life, putting her studies on hold and denying her the chance to apply for a doctorate. Then, on the 28th of August 1989, Geipel finally managed to successfully escape the DDR. Like many East Germans, she traveled to Sopron in Hungary and crossed over into Austria to begin a new life.
I had no flat, No friends, nothing. It was a completely new start, and that felt so incredibly healthy. To have nothing, and for there to be nothing that I could relate to. I was finally able to ask myself, who am I? What do I want in this world? What direction should this new start take? I remember that being the most liberating time of my life, to have absolutely nothing.
Following the fall of the Berlin Wall in November 1989, Geipel moved to the capital, where she now teaches part-time at a performing arts school. In the intervening years, she and 18 other former East German athletes acted as joint plaintiffs at the Berlin trial into state-sponsored doping. When she discovered that she'd been given the anabolic steroid oral turinabol in 1984, Geipel asked the IAAF to remove her name from the record books. The club relay world record that SC Motor Jena set that year still stands today, but Geipel's name has now been replaced with an asterisk mark.
At the end of the trial, it was very clear to me that I should have my name removed. I don't want to be involved in that anymore. When young athletes today are starting their careers, they shouldn't have to chase these false records. It's impossible. They are poison. We have to do everything we can to make sure that records set today are totally clean and legitimate. It's not witchcraft. Clean sport is entirely possible. But we are also aware of issues within the IAAF, and we find ourselves in troubled times.
Geipel read dozens of files on DDR athletes, some as young as 8 years old, who were doped by the state. Shocked at the scale of the program, she became chairperson of the Doping Opferhilfe charity. They offer counseling and assist victims with legal claims for compensation. Working with Ines at the charity is former East German figure skater Marie-Kathrin Kanitz. A European medalist, Kanitz became involved with Ines after learning from her own files that she was doped with oral turinabol, causing years of psychotic episodes.
Our daily routine here mainly consists of taking telephone calls from victims. They normally call us because they have either read a press article or seen a television feature on doping. Often, it's because they're in such a miserable state health-wise that they are looking for answers as to why they're so ill at such a young age. They can pick up the phone and call us or send us an email via our website.
In March of this year, the Doping Opferhilfe charity received news from the German government that a sum of 10.5 million euros was to be awarded to the hundreds of victims affected by the state-sponsored doping. But what of Geipel's former teammates? Two-time Olympic champion Marlies Gore has been highly critical of Ines and continues to dismiss claims that they were doped.
I can understand that it must be difficult for the stars of the DDR to free themselves from their fame. They may well have been good athletes, but they were doped. The records and the medals are all fake. Those Olympic golds are false golds, and for me, that's just not good.
56-year-old Geipel continues to be a powerful voice for anti-doping and has written many books on the subject during her literary career. With doping in sport once again a hot topic, Ines knows all too well of the life-changing effects it has and hopes that lessons can be learned from past mistakes.
The dark cabinet of sport needs to be made more visible. Of course, we can see today that the sport is imploding on a global scale. It's in a serious crisis, and we need new ideas to prevent things from getting worse, so that the young athletes can do what they love and realise their talent. But we need a serious, earnest protection of the talented athletes, and we can't slip back into the ruthless exploitation that we experienced in the DDR.